fuck are the rest of you? Where the fuck are the rest of you? Where the fuck are the rest of you to defend against this? This is 20 people. This is 20 people standing against what is coming. Where the fuck are you? Where the fuck are you? When fascism came back, 40 people stood against hundreds. Where are you?
High energy, high anti-communism levels, huh?
You will not replace us! You will not replace us!
This is an entire fucking line of Nazis in 2017. Isn't it?
My father would spin on his grave like a dreidel if he saw this.
When the Anti-White League cries about being outnumbered, it's a tad absurd. For a moment in time, for a thin slice, they feel how we feel every day. Maybe take some of your own advice and look inward. Ask yourself a question you're so fond of asking us. What did you do to cause this? You have the press, you have the universities, you have the major corporations all pushing your narrative. A relentless and total anti-white conditioning program. Any deviance or heresy from anti-white doctrine is met with career destruction or outright physical attacks, and yet, in spite of all of this, here it stands right before you. So you have a time machine. You get in your time machine and you go to Paris in the year 1000. You tell the people there three things. First, a better way to grow their crops. They respond by thanking you. The second thing you tell them is that Marxism was wrong. They are confused by this. They don't know what Marxism is and they don't really care. The third thing you tell them is that Christianity is a hoax and the Pope is a fraud. They won't be happy about you saying this. Depending on where you are, some might try to kill you. Or if you talk to the old man in the corner, he may advise you to keep it to yourself if you want to keep your head. Back into the time machine you go, to the Soviet Union in 1930. You're in the town of Mogilev. You tell the people there three things. First, a cheaper way to produce steel. They respond by thanking you for this and can now improve their steel making. The second thing you tell them is that Islam is a false religion and that Muhammad was either a madman or a charlatan. They respond with indifference, wondering why you brought up Islam in the middle of Byelorussia. The third thing you tell them is that Lenin is demented, that Marx was wrong about basically everything, and the Soviet Revolution is a wrong-headed endeavor that will lead only to misery. They wouldn't be happy with you saying this, depending on where you are, some might even try to kill you. But if you tell this to the old man in the corner, he may advise you to keep this to yourself if you want to keep your head. Back into the time machine, one last trip. You travel to Boston in 1982. You tell the people there three things. 1. How to make and cheaply produce solid-state hard drives. They respond by thanking you for this, and they can immediately improve their computing technology. The second thing you tell them is that Lenin was demented, that Marx was wrong about basically everything, and that the Soviet Revolution was a wrong-headed endeavor and will only lead to misery. Some people in the crowd support you. You see two people with scowls on their faces. I guess those are the two communists. But everyone else is indifferent or just politely supporting you. The third thing you tell them is that the multiracial state is doomed, that whites have no real obligation to hire, employ, or sell with others, and that trying to force the races into the same political unit will only lead to the races competing over resources against each other by using the government, and ultimately there will be some sort of breakdown or breakup of the United States. The crowd hears this. they won't be happy with you saying this. Some might try to kill you as a fascist. If you tell this to the old man in the corner, though, he may advise you to keep it to yourself if you want to keep your head. Every time and place has its bugaboos. It's obvious to anyone on the outside looking in that that's all this is. When you have a belief that is specific to your place and time, you have a deep emotional reaction to someone challenging it, well, you're probably a person of the bugaboo. And today, that specific belief, specific to this place and time, that causes great angst when challenged, it's about race. And the supposed immorality of racial feeling and racial identity, but really only among whites. Maybe you want to try to reform it. Say that other races should also be made to abandon their racial kinship in order to, quote-unquote, be consistent. Well, we all know what the reaction to that is. It doesn't make sense. It's inconsistent because it's not a product of reason. It's a product of an intersection of circumstances that create the bugaboo. The bugaboo today being the anti-white narrative, or you can call it whatever you want. This is the Puritanism, this is the Marxism, this is today the Universitarianism. It has to be. What else is there? What is more censored than quote-unquote racism? Of course, you are told if the lid is pulled off, unspeakable horrors will be released. Yes, the menacing ghosts of the Ku Klux Klan, the white supremacists, that's the fear. And I'll tell you it's not what you think it is, that the lynchings are not what you think they were, that no, the Tsar wasn't really that bad, and that the kulaks were not demonic exploiters, and no, pagans were not cannibals or child killers. But see, that's the revision. I make my case. You can read it if you want in the Alternative Hypothesis reader in the description, and you can decide for yourself if you're really in a time free of religion.